So about CASFOS, we all know that CASFOS is an organized academy which imparts training for induction officers and also officers who are working in the state.
Beulah, your PPT is not visible.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. अभी तो hope my PPT is visible now.
Yeah, it's visible, Beulah. You can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. So I welcome you all. CASFOS Dehradun welcomes you all to the virtual workshop on training of trainers. So I am Beulah, course director of Training of Trainers workshop. So to start with a presentation, it's better to start with a quote. It's all to do with the training. You can do a lot if you're properly trained. Said by Queen Elizabeth II. So this quote appropriately suits our training. About CASFOS, it is an academy which imparts training to SFS officers, newly recruited as well as who are working in the state already. So this is headed by a Directorate of Forest Education. So he is our Director, Forest Education, Mr. R.P. Singh. He is our Principal, CASFOS Dehradun. He is Mr. C. Ramesh, Senior Faculty Member of CASFOS. She is Ms. Sarita Kumari. She is also an IFS officer of 2005 batch. He is Mr. Abhilash Damodaran, IFS 2007 batch. He is Mr. Pradeep Vahule, IFS 2009 batch. And this is me, IFS 2012 batch. And our sports officer, Mr. Suyal. So coming to about the course, this is a 6 days course which will start from today and it will end on 17th of October. So if we see continuously, there will be 5 days workshop sessions and we have 4 sessions per day. So totally we have 20 sessions from different resource person from different parts of India. And last day, 6th day, we will be having a participants experience sharing session as well as a validatory function. So the entire 5 days will be like we'll have a learning of 360 minutes per day. That will be an intensive learning. So this is the timetable of the course. We can see we have a session from 9:30 to 11, followed by a break of half hour, desktop yoga and tea break. And then we have again a second session starting from 11:30 to 1. Then we have 1 hour lunch break. Then 2 to 5:30, 2 to 3:30 will be our third session. Then followed by half an hour break. Again 4 to 5:30 will be our last session. So like this is the timetable which we are going to follow through this week. So day 1 we'll have immediately after the inaugural session, we'll be having a session from Dr. L.M. Joshi, who will be taking on meaning and concepts of training. Then after lunch, we'll have systematic approach to training, which will be taken by Professor R.K. Chobisa. Day 2, it is an IFS day. So we have all the sessions from IFS officers. The first session will be taken by Ms. Sarita Kumari. She will be talking on online training SOP. The second session will be from Mr. Ravi Wankade. He'll be taking preparation of lecture. The third session will be from Mr. K.S. Jayachandran. He'll be talking on training need analysis. Day 3 from master trainers of DOPT. So Professor H.M. Mishra will be taking direct trainer skills, and Mr. Abhay Singh will be taking on design of training. Day 4, we have 3 sessions again. Ms. Saudamani Singh, she is the founder of the GINET. It is an organization which imparts training of trainers, personality development courses. She will talk on high impact presentation. Dr. S. Sendil Kumar, he'll be talking on effective online presentation. Mr. P. Kalyan Kumar, he'll be talking on evaluation of training. Day 5, Commander Yogendra Sharma, he'll be talking on mentoring and facilitation skills. Dr. Uwais Faruqi is a retired IFS officer. He'll be talking on preparation of training material. And an IPS officer who worked in Naxal affected belt, he'll be talking on personality enhancement and stress management. Day 6 will be the experience sharing by the participants. So coming to the participants, we have nominations from almost all states. We have 92 nominations, out of which 52 are from the training institutes and academies, which are present in different states. And 34 are RFOs and ACFs who are working on the field. So out of 92 nominated, we have 82 registered. So among them, we have 44 RFOs, 28 ACFs, and 10 DFOs who are participating here in this workshop. Coming to the gender distribution, if we have a look, then 1/4 of the participants are female and 3/4 are male. The age distribution of the participants goes like this. We have a higher number in the 30 to 40, 30 to 50, we can say we have higher number of participants in the age group of 30 to 50. So now may I request our principal, Mr. Kunal Satyati, to give the opening remarks for this workshop. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Beulah. We'll just wait for 2 minutes because the chief guest is not able to listen to the microphone or the sound, and is also not able to switch on his microphone and video. So I've told the IT cell. Raghuveer sir,
I am online.
Nice. Oh, good, sir. Your microphone is on now, sir, and the video.
Yes, yes,
good.
It is
good
on.
To see you. It is always good to see you. And then
is given now because there was a central control from Central Academy.
Central control from Central Academy.
So,
welcome, sir, and great, because I thought I should make sure that you are comfortable and online and your video is enabled. So thank you, Beulah, and it is great to see Raghuveer sir after a long time, and I welcome you, sir, on behalf of my Director Forest Education, also on behalf of the course director, Dr. Beulah, and all my faculty colleagues here in CAS Force Dehradun, sir. A very warm welcome. It would have been great to have you here offline, and I was looking forward that if you come offline, you will give some ideas about. I always look forward to great improvements in Training Academy from your insights, but unfortunately, that's not possible, sir. But thanks for accepting our request and presiding over the inaugural session as the chief guest. And in fact, when Dr. Beulah came, and we normally have this conversation about inaugural and valedictory. So I did not take 2 minutes and told Raghuveer Saab ko bula lete hain. And I was having a conversation on Friday with our Director for Execution. He told, normally sir is quite busy, so he told me I'll come in the inaugural because I know Raghuveer Saab professionally and personally both. So welcome, sir, and your name in the training domain. I have seen you. I met you 10 years back, and in the same campus in CAS Force Dehradun when I was a faculty member. And it was always great listening to your insights about training, whether it is in IGNFA or in the CAS Force, or it is Rangers training or SFTI. You have great insights into how training academy should function, how training should be delivered. So it is always a great thing to have you here, sir. And thanks for accepting our invitation. And Beulah would formally introduce you when you come to speak, sir. But I would only say to the participants that all the participants that I have seen that Forest Academy in Hyderabad in almost SFTI level, and I have seen that rise to a good SFTI and then rise to a full Forest Academy and a Rangers College, and then rise to taking online in-service course of IFS officers, which we also don't do in CASFOS. Currently, we also shirk our hand that IFS को कौन train करेगा, वो तो IGNFA का काम है. But right from starting from training a forest guard to training a IFS officer, that was the kind of impact sir had on the Forest Academy, which I used to call Andhra Pradesh Forest Academy, and I remember it like that, but it is now Telangana State Forest Academy. So sir's contribution has been enormous in training field, research field, and overall, I think I was looking for you on the Google, sir, and I found a huge presentation on how to improve IFS training program and how brand is trained and all that. And suddenly that came up. So I thought it is good to share that sir's experience has been quite enormous and insights into how forest administration at all levels should function and recruit and train and work in the field. I was calling him up and the ringtone is about the great scheme, Haritaharam. So I did not understand much of Telugu, but I understood that it is about the great Haritaharam program that the state government is running, one of the premier programs in the country. So welcome, sir. I also welcome my Director Forest Education, RP Singh, sir. Thanks, sir, for presiding over as guest of honor of the inaugural session. And I will also admit that when Beulah was designing this course, we had the ups and downs. Because this is one training program that we look forward to, because this is a core mandate of a training academy. We have already done a 1 week in service course, highly subscribed on biodiversity conservation and sustainable livelihood. The second course we did on wildlife management. And the third course that we have just completed, which was almost more than 100 people participating, was on legal issues in forestry and wildlife. So, but training of trainers is one course that we look forward to, because that is our core mandate, and that is what everything flows from this course. And we initially submitted a proposal to run this program. Then we developed cold feet that how we'll do an online TOT course, because TOT means group work and making a presentation. And so a lot of resource persons told me, not possible. It is not possible on online mode. So then we closed the training program. I informed my director that it's nahi kar payenge, because it to pura master trainers say that this can be done only in a offline condition when more participants interaction is required and all that. But then we had some courage and told, let us try to do it. And it is uncertain time, so let us try to do an online course. So my Director for Education did approve both sides, and he supported. And he was the first one to tell, करके देख लेते हैं, अच्छा हो जाएगा. Online ही करना पड़ेगा, offline का कब तक wait करेंगे? When will Corona go? So thanks, DF sir, for giving that idea that we can try that. And Beulah has been able to stitch a good course and got a lot of participants. Me and DF sir keep discussing, and we are saying in TOT course it should be very core participants coming from Rangers colleges and forest academies and SFTIs. That was our focus. And as Beulah was saying, out of the nominations of 92, 58 have been nominated from the Rangers colleges and academies and the state forest training institutes. So 34 have been nominated by the PCCFs and the HOFs themselves, although they are not working currently in the any of these places, but they have been nominated more as a potential trainers or have interest in training program. So she has been able to get 92, which is a large number because of our persuasion with the HOFs concerned and the directors of the Rangers colleges. So the course director, Dr. Beulah, for going through the ups and downs of having those course and not having this course, and then talking to all the PCCFs and all the resource persons who could agree that they will be able to handle an online TOT program. So it looks like a very nicely stitched training program, sir. I think we have 6 IFS officers retired and serving, doing the honors of taking on various topics. Some of them have been master trainers themselves. They have attended MTT course in the JICA program and other places also. So a lot of them are people who are trained as master trainers, who have worked in training academies. So they would be taking our burden of delivering the training module. I think 6 of them are coming from various fields. I was looking at the ambit. Some of them are professors and academicians coming from training academies. in Rajasthan and so on and so forth. A lot of them are serving bureaucrats. I see Abhay Singh, who is a director in Ministry of Defense, and he still has that training flavor, although he's doing a different job. And then we have somebody like Commander Yogendra Prakash Sharma, who's working, who's a Navy guy, and he's director in the headquarters in the Ministry of Defense. But once a trainer, I think always a trainer. That is the kind of stuff. So 6 of the people are coming from various different disciplines. That would certainly make the training program slightly scattered, and everybody will be talking about different topics. It would not be like 2 people or 3 people. That is the ideal thing in TOT. 3 people that do handholding from the first day and do role reversal and keep on carrying all the topics as we go ahead. But this would be a slightly staged up program, but the speakers are all master trainers, and 6 coming from Indian Forest Service will keep that over on the forestry sector, and 6 coming from outside would always expand that domain of training. They will bring flavor from the other training that they have handled. So that is quite important, and it would have been. I also welcome all the currently 58 participants who are online, who have joined right now. There would be more. I know it is always difficult to on the first day to register, and everybody faces the problem of registration and getting online and putting the background. So I know some of these participants might be struggling. We'll try to get them during the tea break or during the first half today. So 58 of you, thank you for joining us in this training program of 1 week. And it would have been again great to have you here in this campus. In TOT programs, normally we get around 20-25 participants. TA will nahi hota hai, government permission nahi deti, and so on and so forth. So online gives you that. I always say online gives you that additional advantage that you can get the best resource persons, best people to inaugurate the inaugural session and the valedictory session, and also get the largest number of participants. The outreach expands because people can join online and can listen to people who have spent a lot of time in training programs. So it is a benefit, but you can't have an eye-to-eye contact, as the current DG Forest says that online training you can't see the other person. And we were discussing in the last course that you just see MJ, PK, some code words of rounds coming up, and you're talking to them. You're talking to a virtual code words of MKs and MJs. We don't know who they are, who they look like, and what is the experience, and whether they're getting into a training program. But that is the limitation. But anyway, a very warm welcome to all the 58 participants who have been able to join today. And I look forward to having you here after Corona in more offline platform and discuss about various issues. Thereafter, I was seeing the training program, and Beulah has been able to get 3/4 males and 1/4 female, which is a very ideal proportion for running a training program, and that is a very good combination. I don't know what levels they are coming from, but I could see the participants list, and a lot of them are, some of them are DFOs, a lot of them are ACFs, and a lot of them are also range officers. So I welcome all of you, and I'll just have one, my personal point for this training program is that we are also trying to do 2 things here. So I'll request all the participants to keep that in mind, because in a TOT program, experience sharing is great, but I would request you to do 2 things, all the participants, because I might not be able to come online. I'll be watching. That is the beauty of our online program, because I will be logging on all the time and listening to what people are saying, which I would not have been able to do in an offline course. But there are 2 requests that I have for all the participants. One is that in the various SFTIs or Rangers colleges or academies where you are working as faculty member or director or principal, be very concise, and on the last day, please give us a list of things that you want or you think should be very critical and very important for improving the SFTI. What are your handicaps? Because we are soon going to have a second JICA phase, and I think it is a great thing to hear to you. And a lot of SFTIs have improved in the JICA phase 1, but I'll request all the participants to give their ideas about 1 page. 1 page would be perfectly fine about what are the constraints that they face in a training academy. We all know about the research and training getting a backseat in a territorial and wildlife setup in the states. But having said that, I think I'll request all of you on the last day to discuss more on how do you want to improve the state forest training institutions and the training academies and the Rangers colleges where you're working, what are the constraints? We know some of them, but if all of you give, it would be a great thing to compile and keep in mind when we design some project or some phase. The second thing that we are trying to do, I'll request Sarita, who is also attending the inaugural. We are also trying to revise the syllabus of the State Forest Service, which is in a very advanced stage. So I'll request the last day experience sharing module to be operated by Beulah and Sarita both. And Sarita, you could share with them the current syllabus and the revised syllabus, just the abstract. And let us seek that will be more like a TNA. So we can seek their opinion about what is covered in the earlier syllabus that we're trying to revise, and what we are trying to, what we have already thought among ourselves to revise. And since there are so many participants and they are right in the field, it would be a small TNA that we'll be doing. So that will make it more interactive. So आपको ये बताना है कि जो SFS की ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम में सिलेबस अभी है वो शेयर कर लेंगे आपसे, और जो हमने नया बनाया है वो भी शेयर कर लेंगे. Now you please go through both. That would be both a single page document, and tell us what we have lost and what can be added and what could be made better. So that is my request, because I look forward to these two things. 60 people participating. Now it is 61 right now. More and more people are logging in. So ये दो चीज आप बताएंगे that will help us in the CASFOS to operate better SFS training courses for our induction trainee, and also operate better in-service courses, and also guide some of the SFTIs in doing training courses better. I would not burn my hands in looking at the topics of mentoring and TNA that I leave to the experts. I will not comment on that at all. And I know that it is quite important. It is good to be, a trainer is a very different role. And I've seen some great scientists in this campus who can't do training at all, who can't deliver one session. And some of them who are not great scientists can be exceptionally great trainers. So training is a different ball game. You might not have all the knowledge and skill in the world, but when you're supposed to be telling people how to do it, how do you do it, is very difficult. And that is what you should learn in this training course. 1 week is try to develop courses better and deliver them better. So that is what I look forward to. So thanks Beulah for giving this opportunity and organizing this training program. Thank you Raghuveer sir and RP Singh sir for joining in this inaugural session. Over to you, Beulah.
Thank you very much, sir, for your words. And I owe very much to you, sir, for your valuable inputs and guidance at right time, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, it's time to invite our guest of honor, Mr. RP Singh, to deliver his address. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Beulah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Chief guest of today's inaugural function, Dr. P. Raghuveer, Principal Sri Kunal Satyarthi, faculty members Ramesh, Sarita, Abhilash, Pradeep Bahule, Mrs. Beulah, and sports officer Mr. Soyal. And dear participants, first of all, I welcome you all to the Directorate of Forest Education. Since your joining of the service, you have been a part and parcel of the Directorate of Forest Education. So once again, I welcome you. You are alumni of Directorate of Forest Education, maybe different institutes. So welcome. The training, as we know, this is the main function of the Directorate of Forest Education, different academies under Directorate of Forest Education, and also different SFTIs which are functioning in different states. So training is basically a process of acquiring skills, knowledge, attitude that relate to specific useful competencies. Training has specific goal of improving one's competence, effectiveness, efficiency, productivity, and overall performance in the field of profession. What people are supposed to do and what they are capable of doing, they do not always match. There is some gap always, and sometimes that gap is quite vast. So how that gap is to be filled, that is to be done through training. The gap needs to be identified and filled through the training in order to achieve the organizational goals. The process of filling this gap is done by the trainer. Sometimes the trainer may be by compulsion, and sometimes the trainer may be by choice. So in forestry institutes, especially in India, the compulsion is most often encountered rather than choice. People are posted to the training institute sometime as a punishment, but I don't think it is a punishment. It is a great opportunity. It is a great opportunity to contribute to develop the young officers who are joining the forest department now by imparting whatever you have learned in the field. And in this process, the training of trainer is very, very important, because this training of trainer is a program for development of the training delivery skills of those who wish to become trainers in the sector of their preference. The primary objective of training of trainer program is to introduce the trainer to training methodologies and changing the training landscape. To give new trainers the background knowledge, skills, and practical experience. And for those trainers who are already in the profession, then the TOT may help in improving their classroom techniques and methods to transfer the learning to work situations. Why training is required? Because we need to enrich our knowledge, we need to enhance our effectiveness of the training and improve learning by the trainees. We also need training to enhance the team building and leadership qualities, to reduce negativity, for better problem solving, and to enhance self-esteem and gain confidence in training delivery. We also need training for better and effective goal setting, to infuse motivation, to give emphasis on stress management, to enhance supervisor skills, to enhance communication skills, and to impress the trainees, because trainees consider the trainer as a role model. If the trainer is able to impress the trainees by way of his knowledge, by way of his expertise, by way of his delivery skills, then the trainer is successful in imparting those skills. Now, I will speak a few words about the qualities of an effective trainer. That effective trainer has to be very knowledgeable. He has to be an expert of his subject. He cannot fumble while teaching a particular subject. Then the trainer has to be a good communicator. He has to have experience in the field he is imparting training, and he has to be very good in dealing with the people. The trainer has to be interested in learning, because he may be an expert of his field, he may be having a lot of experience, but there is always a scope for improvement, and he can always learn from the trainees also. So the person has to be very interested in learning also. Then the trainer has to be very patient. They understand that the people learn in different ways at different paces. So he has to be very patient. The trainer has to be open-minded. He should respect other people's point of view and know that there are often many ways to achieve the same objective. The trainer has to be creative. He has to be well prepared. He has to be flexible. He has to be well organized. Then, for conducting a good training session, you need to follow a certain format. Like, initially, you tell the trainees what you are going to teach them. You introduce the subject to them. And after giving the introduction, you tell them what you wanted to tell. So first you tell them what you are going to tell them. Then you tell what you have to tell them. And finally, you conclude, you summarize and tell them what you have told them, so that the learning is complete. Whatever you have told, that is fully grasped by the trainees and they understand it fully. Then explain that trainees are going to see what the trainees are going to see before showing a multimedia portion. Use as much hands-on training as possible. Use multiple senses for effective learning, and test the trainees frequently, so that they are attentive, they listen to you carefully, and they do not indulge in cross-talking, etc. Then involve the trainees. Ask the participant to share their experiences, ask their opinion. So keep the participants engaged. then repeat the question before answering them so that everybody knows what the question is. Analyze the question, analyze the session as you go. Always be on the lookout for what works best, because different aspects of your session may be better accepted by the trainee. So whatever is better accepted, you must emphasize on that. Keep your session on the track, start on time and finish on time. Put yourself in their shoes. Give frequent breaks, especially in half day or all day sessions. So when there are sessions after sessions, the trainees get tired. So give them breaks. Just try to put yourself in their shoes, how you feel when you have to attend the session for the whole day. Then you solicit their feedback. Critics work best when they are written and anonymous. So when you get their feedback, you can always have very good ideas about improving your training. Then make the learning a fun. Use various exercises, various games, etc., so that the learning becomes a fun. And use humor intermittently so that the monotony of the session is broken. And please ensure that the self-esteem of the participants is not hurt. They must feel confident, they must feel self-esteem, and they must feel their dignity. If you try to embarrass them that they do not know something, it will not work positively. Then rotate the trainer into different topics. This is for people who are managing training institutions. So principals, they may think of rotating the trainers into different topics, because if a person is handling the same subject frequently, it becomes monotonous, and the learning into different fields, that does not take place. So all-round growth of the trainer does not happen. So it is always desirable that the trainers are rotated in different subjects, in different fields. So these are some of the points which I wanted to make. Thank you, Mr. Kunal, for giving me this opportunity to join. And thank you, Raghuveer sir, for joining us. I was very keen to interact with you. It has been a long association between us since 2016. And we have attended some training programs together. We have learned together, and we have shared a lot of experience. So thank you very much for joining us. We are really delighted to have you. Thank you very much. And I wish all the participants all the best and good learning in this training program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. I pledge on behalf of the participants that they would become effective trainers at the end of this session, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I'd welcome, and it's my privilege to welcome our chief guest, Mr. P. Raghuveer. Sir is a 1984 batch officer, PCCF Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Forest Development Corporation, Telangana. And he holds a master degree in chemistry apart from the diploma in wildlife management and human resource management. Wherever you go, no matter what the weather, always bring your own sunshine. It is told by Anthony. So this quote very well suits our chief guest. Sir has done tremendous work in not only in forestry and but all other fields. So he has brought in the FSC certification for forest produce, ISO certification for process improvement. During his tenure, the botanical garden in Kondapur was the first park to get ISO certification. As director TSFA Dullapalli, he enhanced the effectiveness of training. He introduced weekly seminar sessions, even introduced director feedback session, mentoring, personality development module, weapon training, GPS and computer training, etc. Because of his huge inputs, the Forest Academy got Educational Excellence Award in 2012. As Additional Secretary to the Government, he has done huge inputs in e-governance too. He brought in Andhra Pradesh Online E-Seva, Social Benefit Management System, etc. He always used to be a regular resource person for e-governance and natural resource management in many countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and many states, academies, and institutes. His book Little Drops Make an Ocean was appreciated in the Andhra Pradesh Assembly as well as by NABARD. He has got so many awards. List a few. His CIO project on plantation performance management was awarded in 2003, and his case study on application of IT in administration was awarded by Telika India Excellence Award in 2004. His e-governance initiatives in Andhra Pradesh has got CSI e-governance award in 2004. Sir, may I now welcome you to have your address, sir?
Thank you, Vila. It's nice to be here in this inaugural session with all of you. The CASFOS team, which is always ever enthusiastic, energetic, and then in the most difficult circumstances also, you people deliver. And Kunal, all the best for your new assignment here, heading this particular prestigious institute now. And Sir RP Singh, we have been together in terms of managing our forest range officer training courses, as well as a study tour to US for a couple of weeks to understand the best practices there. And so without taking much of the time, I welcome all the participants for this TOT. I was just a little bit surprised to see a couple of participants who are more than 60 years of age. So that's probably the retired officers working in the training institutes who are still trying to master the skills of. So I'm really impressed by their enthusiasm because training, is an ever-learning process. I would like to share with all of you a few things today in this inaugural. Maybe my own experience as a trainer, what worked and what can be done with available resources without really depending on the government for additional resources. You can take the when it's frozen. Yep. Right. Normally, people say training is pretty expensive, and is it really worth it? But not training people and having to manage these valuable resources with ignorant people, I mean, those costs are really huge. So it's always best to invest in training. But again, there is no mechanism to calculate the ROI, the return on investment. Like, of course, among all the trainings conducted by CASFOS, probably this is the most economically viable or the cheapest of the training, because it's purely on the online mode with no overheads and no travel costs and less carbon footprint, all those things. But still, there is an investment. So how do we assess? So probably I'll touch upon some of those issues as well. Now, as you know, these are all master trainers because some of them who are not working in the training institutes may have been nominated by their bosses, or they might have got interest and then got into this, thinking that as and when they get an opportunity to get posted in a training institute, they'll apply all these skills. But let me tell you, a trainer need not be in the training institutes. A trainer can be anywhere, any post, professional life, personal life, because those attributes of a trainer will always be useful in your life. So even if you are in a non-training institute posting, even if you are in a non-focal posting, you can always walk into any organization, any educational institute, or any of the groups, or any activity that is going on. I mean, these days, there's a plethora of activities online happening, so you can always use your skills in those, and then whatever you are passionate about, be it environmental conservation or little actions that people should take, you can always use that fora to air. So these sort of skills which TOT offers will be very, very helpful to you. So I wish all those who are not in the training institute as of now to also look at this TOT from that perspective and get benefited. Of course, here in the virtual mode, getting some props and other tools may be a little tough, but still you can innovate and like you're talking about desk yoga. I don't know, I was just keen to know how you are going to monitor the attendance of people in every session and whether they're continuously following it or not. Are you going to have some sort of a random calling or testing to understand whether they are with you or not? Maybe that is something, a lesson to be learned from this sort of a trainings.
So
Importantly,
2 points, sir. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Your presentation is not running, sir.
You are not seeing my presentation?
It's frozen at the first slide, sir. It doesn't move beyond.
Oh, here it is running. I don't know. Now?
No, sir. It is frozen on the first slide.
Okay.
Yeah, it is moving now, sir. It has moved to the second slide now, sir.
Okay. So you want me to continue in this mode?
Perfectly fine, sir. This is visible.
Yeah, because that was in the presentation mode.
So it is moving in this mode, sir, not in the presentation mode. Sir.
Okay, right. Okay, no.
Regarding your question about attendance, sir,
right.
I thought participants should know that this is totally computer driven, and every minute that they attend or not attend is visible at the end of the day to the course director.
No. I say, Kunal, with the video off, just the computer may be attending, or the thing is. So I was just thinking, so whether do you randomly call someone and say, okay, what do you think about it? Like in the classroom, we always pick up someone who is not so attentive to come and then to the dais and share. So you call somebody from the Patla state, from Himachal Pradesh. Don't you think in that area this is what I? So if that person is not attentive, then probably next time we'll be more careful. That's what I'm saying. These are all tricks in the training. I mean, there's nothing of that sort. It's all basically everyone is investing time. So I am looking at it as a return on investment. Okay, right. So now you are able to see there's a one. Okay, great. Kunal, it's okay?
Yes, sir. We can see the key elements of TOT.
Right, wonderful. Key elements, we were talking about that. Like Gandhiji said, the Lord each one of us can do. But unfortunately, we don't understand, like Lord Hanuman did not understand his own capacity that he can actually cross the ocean and go to Sri Lanka, till some people motivated him, reminding him that as a kid you went all the way up to the sun, so what is this for you? So similarly, we need the gurus always trying to boost up the confidence of the trainees, and this is where the capacity building issue comes in, because each one of us, I'm sure we are having the same amount of time, 24 hours, but the capacity to do things is unlimited. So if you can harness it through these sort of trainings, that would be wonderful. Now, when you look at building the capacity, maybe from the training institute perspective, you'll find these are the several boxes which will come to our mind. Who are the people seeking Gnan in these institute? And who are the people, the gurus, the faculties, and what sort of methods are they using, and where exactly are they training? I mean, there are issues in all these bubbles which need to be addressed for the training to be very, very effective. Now, if you look at seeker profile from my own experience in the AP Forest Academy or Telangana Forest Academy, you'll find the range officer, because it's mandatory that on recruitment you come for the 18 months training. They're all young, enthusiastic, but highly educated, not having practical exposure. So theory may be good, but the practical application is lacking. So we need to focus more, not on merely giving them more Gnan, which these days people can get anyway, but on application of knowledge. And if you look at the section officer, the foresters and forest guards, you'll have a mixed bag of people coming in. Many training institutes have this backlog. So their direct recruits and promotees will have to come together. So the age group variation will be huge, and educational variation will be huge. So it's a big challenge for the trainer to train this sort of a varied profile people and give them proper training. So we need to be aware of their frustrations in terms of some people not getting the promotion in time, and low self-esteem because of some hard things which are done to them in the field, people not treating them properly, which is again impacting their self-confidence. So the guru should be aware of all these profile of the seeker. And but unfortunately, the profile of the guru is also not something which we can be very, very proud of. Normally, many of the training institutes are not having enough faculty. The workload is more, and it's not their first choice of posting. But even when they are posted to training institute, they always would like to be a boss, as a FRO or DFO or whatever in that mode. So it's not ideal for a Parampic Guru Sishya, because you know, we hold our gurus in high esteem. Even in the ancient Indian culture, we see Guru is the ultimate. But here we have a faculty on which we don't have any control in terms of their postings, and they don't have the proper expertise in teaching practical aspects. And many of them may be happy with reading notes or slides and then saying that we have completed the session. I mean, this is a sort of a profile. There are exceptionally good faculty in many of the SFTIs, and they are doing wonderfully well, but you'll have a majority who fall on this sort of a category. Now, when you enter a classroom, what is your attitude as a guru? Are you being a guide on the side, or you want to be a sage on the stage? Normally, the faculty adopts this sage on the stage sort of a approach, where I am the most knowledgeable, so I will tell you, do sort of an attitude. So this may not be ideal. So my request to people who are going to train people in the master trainers or otherwise, try to be a guide on the side rather than the sage on the stage, so which will enable the participants to also open up and then express their concerns. Coming to the institutes, many of the institutes have done wonderfully well. Maybe Maharashtra, Telangana, then Karnataka. They have under JICA project, a lot of infrastructure improvement has been there, but still many states have one infrastructure inadequate. Probably the next project can address that, and maintenance of the institutes, which is hampering them, the skeletal staff. Even with the CAMPA guidelines, the many trainings which are not being considered under the CAMPA. So that is also reducing the budget provision for the training institute. So that is one area of concern. Now here, if you see the typical training, what you call deliverables, knowledge, skills, these are the usual suspects. I mean, you can always get knowledge and skills without much an effort, even online tools or whatever it is. But the biggest thing that I found across is the attitude. See, unless you cultivate the right attitude in the trainees, even if they are less knowledgeable or not having full competency, they can still deliver if you have the right attitude. So that is where we have been working on changing the attitude of the trainees. So they should take up this philosophy that because obviously you can't win always, right? You'll be going to lose. So even if you take a stand and then the entire world is against you, you take a stand like a tree. That tree gives you that inspiration. But even if you are felled, you come back and sprout as a seed comes back and fight again. So that's the spirit which a forester's philosophy, as we can see, because the entire country, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, because of the foresters' passion for saving the forest land, for protecting the environment, we still have so much of land under the control of the forest department, and still we have some place where we can improve it for the nation. So never give up or give in. That's a sort of an attitude we all cultivate. So we should ensure the trainees also follow this sort of a philosophy. Now, we are not teaching kids. It's not a kindergarten or upper primary school or high school or even college. I mean, these are adults who have already got a lot of things in their brain, the memory, their experience, and no. So they can simply switch off their brains and then physically present in the classroom and mentally absent sort of a thing. So they can be made to learn when you can feel them. I mean, you are respected, you are valued, and we are going to listen to your perspective. And there should be a regular experience sharing between the faculty and the trainees, because even the trainees come up with some sort of an experience. So we should enable them to share that, and I'll tell you how it can be done. And then learning environment should be very, very conducive. Normally what happens, I've seen the faculty, if, like Mr. R.P. Singh was saying, if the faculty is not competent, if some trainee asks a question, they simply shut them off. No, you don't know, don't ask silly questions, you don't know even this much, and then be done with it. Instead of using that point for a discussion. Okay, even I don't know, I'll come back and then let's see. Okay, what do you think? Maybe I'll check up, you also check up. Let us see, next class we will solve this problem. I mean, that can easily make things happen. So that is where we can reinforce the learnings. And then this is the attitude that one should have. Like Archimedes said, you can even lift the moon if you can develop a lever which is long and strong enough. So leverage is something which we need to do. Interinstitutional collaboration with the stakeholders. We should, because in Forest Academy in Dulapalli, we have been able to do a lot of these sort of interinstitutional, interagency collaborations, which has immensely benefited everyone. And we could also get a good branding. I'll just briefly go through some of those practices which we have implemented when I was heading the Forest Academy in Dulapalli for more than probably 7.5 years, and very wonderful experience I have of meeting a lot of wonderful people and then making a difference in their lives. People come to us and when we see the general skill profile, they have this stage fear, poor articulation, they can't really speak up. And as you know, foresters are required to speak in public and convince the villagers, motivate them. So how do you tackle this sort of a thing? So we came up with a simple intervention, which is part of the scheduled timetable in a week. We have allocated about 5 hours every week for a seminar presentation. It is mandatory. And you know, they, during the course of training, they just have to have 2 rounds of the seminar presentation. First round is up to them. They can speak anything from their own experience. Maybe if they're a post-graduation, they have done a project there, or if they have something they can talk about it, or something they can do from their own personal experience, their own home district, forestry resources, environmental resources, or their interaction with any expert, whatever it is. So that is only ice breaking, where they are more comfortable, because first round is very, very comfort zone, so they can do that. The second round, and each one is given about 15 minutes of time to present. Second round is what we do in consultation with the faculty, some topic out of the prescribed syllabus. And I'll be telling you this very surprising result that has come. The sessions taken by trainees on the syllabus, I mean the topics which are covered in the syllabus, are rated the best by the trainees week after week, because we take a weekly feedback. That means what? Peer-to-peer transmission is much more effective than faculty to student. So the faculty also can guide them in making this sort of a transition. Venkatesh never. Okay, so we have people bringing in files and all. Okay, so seminar presentations is something which I am sure with the available resources we can do. And interestingly, what we have done is we have asked the trainees also to give a 1-page or 2-page write-up on the particular topic, which has become a valuable resource material for all the trainees. We have given them, distributed, we kept it in the library in a bound book. So using different training methods, they have really enjoyed doing this. They make a special effort to take up this. Another way is role play, which I think many places we do it, and this is in fact not only kills all their inhibitions which they have, but it's a group work that is helping them. And this sort of a role play helps them in actually finding solutions in the field when they come up with forest protection issues. So this is something which has been very, very useful. Since all the three groups are there, we have evolved a mentor-mentee system. Every Sunday after breakfast, they have an informal interaction among these groups, and it has been found to be very, very effective with this mentoring system. Now, this is something which is what we do with the available resources. Out of the weekly, whatever sessions have been done, we have asked the trainees themselves to give questions and answers on the weekly quiz, and which will be basically what they have learned during the week. And there used to be a duty officer who is given this question bank. And deliberately we said these questions will be given in open format, in the sense they won't seal the cover. We want to test, because this duty officer is also part of a group. So if he wants his group to win, he can open all the questions and then read and then get full marks. But that's a test of integrity we do it. And this has been pretty, and we maintain a scorecard week after week, which group is doing well. And sometimes framing of the questions itself will be wrong. Sometimes answer given may be wrong. So those things will anyhow immediately add to additional learning, and there will be more clarity on the issue. So very lively sessions we used to have with this weekly thing. So this is something which we need to take as sort of a mandatory thing across all training institutes, because normally at the end of the course, you take a feedback which may not be very useful for that particular batch. So maybe next batch can benefit. But if you do the weekly feedback session, definitely you can take up corrective measures while the trainees are still in the training institute. So here the simple format is there, only 5 topics will be given in terms of what they write the weekly feedback on. First thing is, as per the timetable, what are the topics which are covered, and among those topics maybe about 8 or 10 or 15, whatever it is, what are the things you liked and why. No issues, 1 and 2. Third one is pretty tough for many trainees. What topic did you not like and why? Because this is where we encourage them. You should tell if a faculty is not delivering properly, you didn't understand the topic properly. So many places we got a good feedback, which again, Friday faculty meeting, faculty has been told in a very polite manner, apparently your session did not go that well. Can you please redo it or make these corrections in your presentation? So that's how the improvement has happened. It's not a criticism, because trainees are always worried they'll get less marks if the faculty is unhappy with them. But that we said, you don't have to worry, we'll take care of it. So the third one, which is the toughest, they are able to see this attitude is what will stand them in good in the field, when they can actually raise their voice when they don't like something and then tell how it can be done differently. 4 and 5 are very, very important. I think these can be applied for this TOT also among all the people who are participating. For each session, you can write what did you learn new. Okay, maybe you'll come up with a list of 3 or 4 for each session. So at the end of a week, maybe you'll have about 30-40 learnings. The number 5 would be, out of the 30-40 learnings, how do you propose to apply at least some of them, 1, 2, 3 in the field? Maybe prepare an action plan for that. So that would be an easy way of monitoring the impact of the training. That is where we can make an action plan, which we used to do it regularly. Every trainee makes an action plan at the end of the training based on their weekly feedback. And then this action plan we share with the concerned conservator and DFO, so that they can help them in implementation of it. And then you can see this typically one range officer training from Kerala at the end of the 18-month program prepared month-wise action plan for 12 months. So for October month, what he wants to do is you can see the type of which they would like to do. This is totally different from what a forest college teaches. It talks about interinstitutional collaboration. It talks about basic forestry, identifying the plus trees, documentation, and ensuring quality planting stacks so that plantations are always successful. So those are the key elements which once they write the key learnings and then application of learning, they come up with it in that. We have also done this batch reunion because for IFS officers, there is always this 17 years and 21 years and 25 years sort of a reunion, but for lower staff, it was never there. So foresters and forest guards, we have the batch reunion, which we also used to call action plan workshop. So they'll come back and tell the juniors what they have done in the field post training. Juniors will also make a presentation of what they are going to do, the intent. So this will actually, this exchange will reinforce their confidence, and then that in the field we can do anything. And they can also exhibit their good work in the convocation exhibition and talk to the senior officers. Everybody will know the good work being done by them. And normally we have 150 days of tour for officers, and a lot of tours, 5 tours are there. So we have this tour symposium, which is based on a daily tour feedback, which is given to one individual in the batch every day differently. And every night they learn, key learnings are shared. And then always we focus on not merely learnings and the statistics portion. I mean, if you know, all of us have gone through that sort of a field studies where we are given a handout which goes into tour journal. What's it, application? How does it help you? And then what we ask them in the symposium is, in case you are posted there as a range officer or whatever, forester, what are you going to do differently? I mean, that's how they can actually come up with new ideas. Like you can see, the trainee is made a part of the training program in a very conscious way through these different groups which are there. And that will help them in bonding better, learning better, and exchanging their ideas. Activities wise, you can see this is something which I found very, very useful, because normally people would like to go on leave for some festival or some other thing. So we say we'll be permitted to leave only if you can do that half-day project. Maybe go to a highway and look at people making their livelihoods under the tree, maybe a shoemaker or a fruit vendor or a barber or whoever is depending, and ask them what made them sit under a tree and what the tree means to them in their life, how much of economics it is playing. And this is sort of a general discussion, or maybe document about the local green heroes or whatever it is. So this has been pretty useful, and many trainees have said we have passed by that road or that office many times but never ventured in. So this mini project helped them in trying to build bridges across. And then we have routine, these are questionnaires which are there for forest protection or for enabling people to stay at headquarters, what can be done. So these has been, the recommendations were shared with the PCCF for implementation at the state level. Even taboo factors like corruption in department and all those things are openly debated, discussed, to encourage trainees to come up with their views. And a lot of outreach activities with several stakeholders, lake cleanups and bikeathons and things like that. Finally, the system improvements which were brought in, like as talk about seminar system, and nice write-ups are always given to other groups also. And self-esteem. This is where I think we can do more with the available resources. If someone does good, we always appreciate them publicly. Then group does something, maybe give some sort of a reward. And like in the weekly feedback, if someone has written excellent key learnings or application of learning, so that appreciation is also given. Everywhere, normally 2-3 gold medals only are given for foresters, forest guards, even range officers. But in our academy, for every subject, the topper, we are always rewarded with a gold medal and a certificate. They can always say, I was a gold medalist in the Forest Academy. That's a sort of a self-esteem. And probably, I don't know, our academy was the first to start this sort of a trainees being given an opportunity to speak during the convocation about their experiences. So that also helps them in improving their self-esteem. So end of the TOT, what can you do as a trainer? I mean, there's lots of things which don't need any money. I mean, in a training institute, some of these initiatives can be implemented. If you are in the field posting also, some of these initiatives can easily be implemented in terms of effective teamwork that can be taken up. And Here I just wanted to touch upon the seminar project work. Normally what happens in the range officers training, there's a 1 month term break. So we have asked our trainees for some Guru Dakshina. I said in the 1 month off that you get between 2 terms, can you give 1 week which we'll use for getting you attached to the local forest department. I mean, wherever you are going, your hometown, your in-laws place, whatever it is. That has been very, I mean, we introduced it about a decade back, and very impactful it is, because when the trainees spend time in the field in their own state for 1 week, talking to the range officer, living with the range officers, forest guard, forester, DFO, then a lot of experiences. So when they come back, what we said is second term, the type of questions they were asking faculty were totally different. First term is all theoretical questions. Second term is also all application. They say this is a problem in the field. How do we cope up? How do you solve it? So this thing has helped, which some places, some trainees have even done 10 days term break. We never put any limit on that. I said as long as you are learning, that's a wonderful thing. You'll know the local law, you know the local formats, reporting, everything, even cash book maintenance, while moving with the range officer, forest guard, forester. And then you get a ringside view of your own state. So that is pretty helpful, term break attachment. The other one which was unique is doing a project work. We actually, for the range officers, we have asked the concerned state senior officers, maybe 5, 6 of them, to send us a list of top 5 problems they are facing. And out of that, we offer to the range officers which topic you want to tackle. So the problems which are being faced by the field, by the trainees in the academy, can be researched by the trainees themselves. They can come up with their recommendations. And we have shared these reports of the range officers with the concerned PCCF of the state, asking them, okay, you can implement these recommendations for improving the situation. So this we have done not only for forest range officers, but also foresters and forest guards. It has been pretty learning, good learning experiences, where they do the primary data collection and also secondary. It's a scientific sort of a project work they do it. Some of the projects which had great impact, even not only across the state, across the country, are these are the things. Even like City Biodiversity Index, we were the first to do the Hyderabad City Biodiversity Index in the country. And then the municipal corporation made it a full-fledged study later on, and which resulted in a 2-day international conference in Hyderabad of all the city mayors, where the Hyderabad City Biodiversity Index report was released. And that has helped in taking intervention in the city of Hyderabad for improving the biodiversity. The municipal administration department opened a separate forest biodiversity wing, and focus was on conserving these urban greens. And today we are doing wonderfully well in that aspect. Almost 180 blocks around Hyderabad are all fully protected and kept for conservation and public availability. So these are the things which did a wonderful impact. I can go on. I mean, there are a lot of things. So bottom line for all of you trainers, I mean, we conclude. You don't see, this is for Kunal and T. Don't see TOT as an end in itself, but let it be a long association. These days, because of the social media, WhatsApp group can be created, and you can continue to maintain the follow-up action. And maybe we need to work more on attitude. If they have a problem, I mean, we should be able to, because even till today, I'll tell you, it's almost 10 years since some of these batches have gone. If they have trainees have a problem, the first call comes to me and says, sir, this is how I am, what to do, duvida mein hai, kya karna chahiye, what. So sometimes we call their bosses and then try to give necessary help. That's all. It's not a big deal. Maybe 2 minutes of your time or 3 minutes of your time as a guru. You can have a continuous association in mentoring these people. And normally our faculty, they don't prepare the lesson plan. Of course, it's a time consuming one, but once they prepare, it gives them more clarity, like how much time I should spend on which aspect and what sort of questions I should ask the trainee to get whether they understand this or not. And the innovative methods, as I talk about, these are all which don't cost money. As a trainer, you can apply them and then make it. We found a problem tree approach works extremely well, because all problems of forestry sector, we found end up in only illiteracy, then unemployment and malnutrition. I mean, you can stay any problem when we tree, why this is happening. Everything is coming up to this. So that is the mandate of some other sector, some other department. So we need to give some sort of a indication that how interinstitutional, interagency collaboration can help solve the problems. We should not do only superficial symptomatic dressing, but attempt the root cause. So problem tree approach has been found to be excellent way of understanding the root cause, and also for the trainees to appreciate that this is where it is coming from. And yeah, here also 1 week, a lot of probably the sessions are there for the TOT participants. I request them if you can come up with what you are going to do in the next 6 months or next 3 months also, doesn't matter, and share a copy with the CASFOS. They can actually do the monitoring portion and share your action plan with the concerned PCCF also to give you necessary help. This would be at least worth the investment of time and energy that all of us are making on this TOT, which give. You may be thinking, if I even say that I want to do this, will it make a big difference in the forestry sector? But as Gandhiji said, it may seem a little thing for you, but it is very, very important that you start doing it, because the same little action done 100 times can have a big, big impact. So let's go with that sort of an attitude and cultivate the same sort of a values in the team, the subordinates with whom we work, and then ensure that all of them also enjoy doing the work they are doing. And that's all I have for the inaugural session, Kunal. As you were saying, this is the one which has made all the difference, because they never, trainees never felt they are in a training institute. Everybody was saying we are getting transformed. See, unless you agree that you are willing to get transformed, you can't be transformed. So our tagline was, we don't train people, we transform them. Worked extremely well in terms of bringing the desired attitudinal changes. Thank you so much for your patience. If there are any questions, I'm available even after this particular session. Okay, that's all I have. Right, I'll stop sharing this screen now.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right.
Sir,
I have stopped sharing my screen. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Yep.
Sir, you have given us like we will focus on practical aspects of teaching to our trainees. We will be better guide on the side and not sage on the stage, and we will cultivate the right attitude in the trainees. We will make a conducive atmosphere so that the trainees will be like they will have an active and interactive learning. We will try to develop a collaboration with other stakeholders too, so that it will be like effective training to the trainees. The trainees' soft skill development will be highly focused, and peer-peer transmission will be focused on this. Mentoring system, director's feedback session, key learnings from in the week, all will be taken care, sir, when we impart training to the trainees. So that was a new idea, that batch reunion of trainees at the state forest level forest academies, and learning by doing, adoption of innovative methods of learning, like seminar projects, presentations, etc. will be done, sir. Sir, at last the main thing was like transforming people, not training people. That was your gist, sir. Thank you very much for your words, sir. And now it is time for me to give formal vote of thanks. I thank here Mr. P. Raghuveer, our chief guest, PCCF Telangana, for sparing your valuable time here, sir. I thank Dr. R.P. Singh, Director Forest Education, for your valuable time, sir. I thank Mr. Kunal Satyarthi for giving your valuable time and inputs for this course, sir. I thank all the faculty members of CASFOS for your valuable time and for building teamwork here so that I can carry out the course successfully, sir, sirs and madam. I thank all the participants for cooperating with me and for registering and showing interest in participating in the online workshop. I thank you one and all for this on this occasion, and we'll break for the tea session. After this, our formal course will start. Thank you, sirs.
Raghuveer sir, I was waiting for your last line. I missed that. No, we don't train people, we transform them. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us. I think, Beulah, everybody can have a tea break and coffee break at their own offices or homes. Thank you, DFE sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beulah, you could announce the time for the next session.
So sharply we have ended by 11 o'clock. So 11 to 11:30 will be a break. 11 to 11:15 we'll have desktop yoga, and 11:15 to 11:30 we'll have our tea break. After that, sharply our first session by Dr. L.M. Joshi will start. Kindly stay online, don't switch off and go away, so that we can join on time. If you have any doubts and if any participant have problem in joining, kindly write in the chat box or kindly contact us so that we can help you out.
Get ready for a yoga break in your busy office schedule by taking up a straight back sitting position on your chair. Bring your whole back, neck, and head into one straight line. Place the palms of both hands on your thighs. Eyes gently and begin to focus on your breathing. Breathe in and out in a calm and regular manner for a few minutes. Make sure you are breathing into all sections of your lungs in a healthy manner. Breathe in to the low, mid, and upper sections of your lungs. And then breathe out from the low, mid, and upper sections. Perform this practice for a few minutes and feel a sense of lightness as the energy of your breath lifts your mood and readies you for the practices of yoga. Sit erect with your palms on your thighs. Lift your right hand and start to shake it slowly with awareness of the movements at your wrist joint. Increase the speed of the movement a bit, and then after some time, start to shake your hand as fast as you can. Continue this fast shaking for a few minutes. After a few minutes, stop shaking your hand and bring it back to your thigh. Breathe deeply and enjoy the fresh flow of blood rushing into your hand as the result of this vigorous shaking. Lift your left hand and start to shake it slowly. Be aware of the movements of the wrist joint. Slowly increase the speed of the movement while keeping your hand as lax as possible. After some time, start to shake your hand as fast as you can for a few minutes. When you feel ready, stop shaking your hand and bring it back to your thigh. Enjoy the fresh flow of blood rushing into your hand as the result of this vigorous shaking. Lift both your hands and start to shake them slowly. Be aware of the movements at your wrist joints. Let your elbows be so that this shaking is transmitted throughout your forearms. Increase the speed of the shaking movement bit by bit until you are shaking your hands as fast as possible. Continue this for a few minutes. When ready, stop shaking your hands and bring them back to your thighs. Breathe deeply and enjoy the fresh flow of blood coupled with the revitalizing pranic energy rushing into your hands. This jati washes away all accumulated toxins and negative stressful radicals from your joints and releases pent-up tensions from the musculoskeletal system. After a few minutes of relaxation, lift both hands to your chest and start to circle them at the wrists with focused awareness. After a few rounds, circle your hands in the opposite direction. When the movements have been completed in both directions, relax your hands back to your thighs and breathe deeply to enjoy the relaxation seeping into your hands. To wind up this activity, start to shake both hands again. While shaking them, continue to move your arms all around your body so that a maximum range of arm span is attained to your front, sides, up, down, and to your back. This helps to energize the Pranamaya Kosha, the vital energy sheath or subtle body. Use your creativity to make patterns around yourself while recharging your psychic batteries with this vital energy. After completing the full range of activity, relax back in an erect sitting position with your palms on your thighs. Be aware of the energy flowing into all parts of your body, creating optimum conditions for healing and well-being. Bend your right knee and rotate your ankle in a clockwise direction. Do this for a few rounds and then perform the movement in an anti-clockwise direction for a few rounds. Hold your right leg and bounce it a few times. Relax your leg and repeat the movements on the left. Come back to the sitting position and move your legs in a lifting action, one after the other a few times. These movements provide a good self-massage to the lower limbs and the abdomen. They ease congestion from the ankles, knees, and hip joints. Lift both hands and begin to move your fingers one after the other. Make sure you bend each and every joint in each and every finger. Perform a few rounds of this movement. Make a fist with both hands and rotate your wrists in a clockwise direction. Continue to rotate them, now in an anti-clockwise direction. Move your hands from elbow down in a circular motion by rotating your elbow joints. Do a few rounds in a clockwise motion and then anti-clockwise. Start to move your shoulders in a forward cycling action a few times and then in a backward cycling action for a few rounds. These simple movements relieve the stiffness and tension from the finger, wrist, elbow, and shoulder joints. Turn your head from right to left and then back from left to right a couple of times. Bring your head to the center and turn it up and down a couple of times. Perform a few rounds of head rolling in the clockwise direction. Repeat the head rolling, but now in an anti-clockwise direction. These simple movements relieve the stiffness and tension from the neck and the shoulder region that are a result of excessive time spent in front of the computer. Come back to the resting position and relax with some deep breathing. Stand up from your chair. Stand still and breathe deeply. Gently shift your weight onto the front of your foot so that the entire weight of your body is supported on your toes. Now, slowly shift your weight to the back of your feet so that it is all felt on your heels. Gently and slowly shift your weight back to your toes and then back to your heels for a few times. Relax back in the Samasthiti Asana and breathe deeply. Walk around your office space, kicking your legs one after the other. Make sure this is done consciously and with awareness. This will kick out the tensions from your feet and alleviate sluggish blood circulation in the lower limb. From the standing position, lift your right leg and balance